The first one is learning to think. Now, of course, everybody thinks, what's so great about that? But I remember my first job after college. And so siyempre, graduating with honors, I got into the Philippine Airlines at that time. They chose 7 of us from UP, from Ateneo, Mapua. And when I came in, my boss called me, and my degree was economics, and said, Ed, I want you to make a feasibility study, because I was in Philippine Airlines, of a jet engine test cell. Now, I was 20 years old. What the heck is a jet engine test cell? So I told my boss, maybe you wanted to give that project to our CPA. He knows accounting and finance. He can do the financial forecast, blah, 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 blah. I said, no. Here's a program text in accounting. Learn it. But I want you to give the project in 3 weeks. I go, but sir, I am not an aeronautical engineer. I don't know about jets. You've never taken that in school. Oh, why don't you talk to the engineers in Nichols? Talk to them. In 3 weeks? Yes, 3 weeks. And so he made me do that. And you could imagine, you're talking about accomplishing your project in so many months. Could you imagine learning accounting, finance, engineering, architecture, and all of these subjects in 3 weeks? Something not related at all to money. The only one was economics, whether it's going to be viable or not. But after 3 weeks of sleeping it out, I gave it to my boss. Oh, then he just leafed through it and said, oh, you can do it. Then he shoved it aside. I actually don't need it. Huh? You don't need it? No. I gave it to you to find out whether you know how to think. Whether you have the capacity to learn something new you're totally ignorant of. And that's real thinking. To me, the power of the brain is really tremendous. We have 100 billion neurons in our brain. 100 billion neurons. Each neuron can be connected to 28 other neurons. And you could imagine the permutation and combination. We can actually have the potential, all of us here in this room, to be geniuses. If only the power of the brain can be totally unleashed. They're developing machines with artificial intelligence. But I'm sure somewhere in the world, some scientists are trying to figure out how the brain can outrun the machine. And it's possible. It's really possible. So, learning to think. But the brain has many facets. There are many types of thinking. You talk about the left brain, it's a little bit specialized. Talk about the right brain. Talk about the limbic brain or the emotional brain. Then you talk about the reptilian brain or the instinctive brain. So there are many facets to our brain. I will not go through all of these. But let me say just polarize two. The left and the right brain, the thinking brain. Of course, there's the emotional brain. I'll get into that later on, the emotional part. The left part of the brain starts with random thoughts. Of course, the whole thinking is random, you know. When you wake up, thoughts come to your mind. But then you go to school. And what does school teach you? How to order things. A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember your grade school? That's called sequential thinking. Very, very programmed, very planned, very structured. That is the basic skill that is taught to you in grade school. It's important to have discipline of that thinking. This is the discipline that accountants are made of, programmers, administrators, schedulers, because it requires repetitive, regular program work. And then there's the higher left part of the brain. When you start analyzing things, start chopping them into parts, trying to look at cause and effect, logical reasoning. It becomes more abstract as you enter the world of numbers. Quantitative becomes technical. The highest form of left brain thinking, however, is critical thinking. If I give you 1,000 variables, can you tell me which one among them is the most important? Because in life, we have always choices. But in making the choices, can you pick the most important variable? And to me, that's an important passage because you have to think very fast. Dami-dami niyan. There's 1,001 things always to do in our lives. Can you pick what's most important? You can. You can pick what's most important if you do critical thinking by asking yourself a lot of questions. Of course, the question to ask is, why is this the most important? As you move to the right brain, you're still in thinking. It has a different faculty. The right brain does not look at the part, it looks at the whole. It looks at the big picture. It's creative, imaginative, emotional, artistic, entrepreneurial. This is the right brain. It's the one that absorbs new things. As it goes to the left classifies, categorizes them into learnings that we've had in the past and adds the new learning. And the highest level of right brain thinking is creative thinking. Can you make something new? Can you come up with a new concept, a new idea, a new way of looking at things? Sometimes you might think there's nothing else to be discovered. But no. There's a lot to discover only if you look with new eyes. Something as basic as what you see every day, you think you know it already. But if you look upon it with new eyes, you might see something very different. So do you have the capacity to look with new eyes at things that come your way? Para bang meron kang ability to see beyond what others see? Right brain thinking is also about integrating, about synthesizing, about putting things in a whole system such that you can put together all the various parts that have been categorized by the left brain. So thinking, problem in our school system is we emphasize subjects. Teachers are often teachers of subjects. They're not teachers of students. Because they're not teachers of students, they don't teach students how to think. They teach students, okay, this is the formula. Okay, this is the way to answer this question. And oftentimes in school, there's one question from a teacher and there's one correct answer. Only. Only. If you don't have the correct answer, X. I'm sure many of you remember your grade school, high school days, or even college. When you, after the exam, or before the exam, you're trembling, will I pass this exam? And what you don't like is that X, you know. It's wrong. But in creative thinking, there's nothing wrong. Every failure is an attempt towards success. Every failure is an attempt towards success.